Hello and welcome. I'm going to continue with putting together kits that I've purchased a long time ago and put in drawers. And as you know, I am not at home, so I brought these with me. And I'm going to be putting it together. This one is for this lovely woven basket, which is made out of paper. And it is by Milestone, where is it? Milestone Miniatures. There we go. Complete with full instructions. Very detailed. And here are the pieces that come with it: the weaver and the spoke. So the weaver is this section here that has been sliced up to the end with about 1/8 of an inch uncut, and the spokes are these strips that are cut. We have to cut them up. The base, which is a little oval, this is an oval basket, and it did not come painted. It came just raw, wood color. And as well as, a toothpick that came with that. A piece of wire that's been twisted together to make it the handle. Tiny, tiny little spindle looking item, which is for the handle. Gone ahead and stained. I gave it a little wash. I actually had to take a blue and a brown, which is really red, and grade it down a little bit to give me this color. So now that it's done, both sides, I left it to dry quite nicely, and of course you always do both sides, otherwise these wood bits will tend to warp. The pieces come pre-cut, but not all the way, so you have to separate them. And that's what I'm going to do, just with the, I don't even think I need the ruler, but just to make sure, I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to cut it all out individually, making sure that all the strips are now separated from the bit, from the total of them, so I can use them. And I'm going to do that all the way through and come back to you when I'm done. Okay, so here we have all the pieces that we're going to be using. I've separated the weave from the spokes. We have a toothpick. I also have a pointy tool and some glue. And it's just plain white glue. So now we are going to do some weaving. So now we're going to go over and under. Pick whichever one you want. You're going to go under first. I tend to go down and then over and then under, like that. And this is opening up the spot for you to put in your spoke. Before I do, take your glue and apply a tiny bit of glue. I'm trying to do this as I'm watching the camera. And you're going to slide your spoke in and then slide down. I'm using the same tool, and boom, there it is. Now you're going to continue going under. I'm going to leave that there for a bit. Not going to fiddle with it a little bit now. You're going to go wherever you were, wherever you were under, you're going to go over, etc. Do the opposite of what you did on the first one. And put a little bit, put this down like that. Can you see? All right, here we go. Put this down. I'm going to add a tiny bit of glue onto the one end so that it can glue once it gets there. And now that you have this open situation here, let's see, you pull it back and then you weave it in snug. And the whole idea with this is to make it as snug as possible. That gives you a nice weave. And also, now they also say to cut at the ends even with the weaver. We'll cut the one end. For now, I'm just going to do one side. So let's do this again. The one that's over becomes under, one that's under comes over, and under, and over, and under. Sometimes you take for granted that some people have skills that others don't, I guess. And I know that I have been doing crafts for a long, long time, and I know weaving. You sort of forget that some people don't even know how a braid works. So, maybe this isn't time lost. And in the meantime, I'm just sharing a little bit of time with you. Poke it in and don't poke it too hard, because then you're going to rip the paper. You have to remember, this is paper. I'm going to do one more and then continue on my own. Over becomes under, etc. Do the opposite of what you were doing before. I'm going to put glue on the tip of my next spoke. Feed it in. Once it's there, if you feel it's better to work on your flat surface. Just want you to see what I'm doing though. There we go, like that. And in gentle. As we're putting glue, once it's glued, you can't do any more adjustment. You see? Try to do one more. Okay, I'll do one more. I'm going to pat it down, cut these two off even with one end, and then we'll trim the other side. Again, this one is up now, so it's going to go down. It's going to go under. The one that's under comes up. And I'm going to continue this until I get to the other side, to the end. Okay, so this is all weaved in, and I have cut the one edge like it said to. I'm going to cut the other edge close to the bottom of the weave. Get all these little bits cut off here. Then what I'm going to do is, just so that it stays put, I'm going to just add a tiny bit of glue. I mean, it should be fine, but why not? That way I know it's not going to move about. And I just run my finger over it. There it is. Very adorable. Rather like it. Nicely woven. Now it says to trim one end. I'm going to just pick this one. That's the bit that was holding the two ends together. And before I go anywhere, I'm going to add a tiny bit of glue on here. Again, dab it with your finger. And then it says to wrap this around the base to glue it and to trim the end. So that's what I'm going to do. I've taken the strip and given it a head start to give it a bit of a memory that it needs to do a circle for me or an oval. That way when it comes to wrapping around, it'll keep the shape a little bit. It says to dab glue all the way around. And so now I'm going to start it in the center. So I'm just going to, one of the weaves, put it down. I know that I'm overlapping, but I just want to give it some shape first. I'm gonna hold it here for a bit before I cut it into the size. So I actually stopped taping for a bit because this was just not behaving. And it is a little bit finicky to put on the base. But then I added some more glue on the inside, which you can barely see. Doesn't really matter, it's on the inside. And I let it sit for a bit and it was holding. So what we need to do now is put a little bit more glue onto the end. So just so you know, I had to set it aside and let it dry a little bit before I could move on, because this just was not adhering. And now I'm going to tighten it as much as I can, and I'm going to glue to this edge here. It's going to have to overlap a little bit, so don't know if it's going to create a bump. Maybe I can just get it. I'm going to take a chance and see if I can get it just where the weave ends on one and starts on the other. That was a big gamble, but anyway. Okay, I'm going to take this one off and see if I can pretend that it's part of the same weave. That's close enough. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit more glue and a little bit more glue on the edge, and then lock it up. There you go. It's not so bad. That will become the back side, and there it is. Now after that, it says that I need to add top and bottom, they call it a trim, glue the rims, and what it is, it's the top here, you see, just a straight bit. Too close. Okay, so I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to apply glue. I'm going to work on the bottom one, probably the easiest one. Apply glue to the bottom. I'm going to start off at the seam again, and small dots of glue. Again, I'm going to shape the strip into a circle, maybe even wound it up like that onto the bottle, give it circle shape, and then I have some glue there. Going to overlap it. This is going to become the rim. I'm happy with that. going to go all the way, I guess, this way. So I've got two Portuguese water dogs, and they are called Mark and Mindy, brother and sister, same year, and they can be a handful. They like to be in the background fighting a lot, and they also play. Mindy is the grunter. She grunts away to get her wishes, and Mark is the aggressor. He will just jump on whatever he wants and it becomes his. So that's the one side. Now we're going to take the other bit. So this came from the two ends. Like that. Okay. And again, I'm going to encourage it to go around, gluing on this side, on the top side. This is to paint afterwards, after it's dry, after the glue is dry, done in the one shade. This trim needed to be trimmed. Okay, now I'm going to keep on going, and I'm actually tightening it as I'm placing it. I'm tightening it. And now I'm going to go on the inside. You know, it's probably going to be your preference how you apply the glue. I kind of do it the way it feels good at the moment. And I'm going to trim and pinch at the end. Rather like it. Pleased with the way it's turning out. It's quite sweet. I'm going to let that dry for a bit. And this is the handle. What I got was a twisted two pieces of wire that were twisted together to give you the consistency of a twist handle. And I also received this little guy. Now I tried to see if I could put a hole in it so that I could feed the wire through, and that's just not, but where is it here? That's just not possible. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll wrap it. That wasn't good. Then I remembered I had a little bit of a Fimo still left. What I did was I took the Fimo, took a little bit of it, and probably too much. And what I wanted to do was wrap it. I'm going to do it just on this end because I already have it done because I had to think ahead. Just wrap it around the wire, sort of making a bead, but it's just going to stay there. I'm making this one a little bit bigger so you can see. I wrapped it around the wire, and I added a couple little bit of little cuts, one end like so, and at the end, and that gave me a little bit of a pattern. And I simply baked it on here, the amount of time suggested by the brand that you're using. So this one has already been baked and it's hard. And then I thought, oh, okay, maybe I should have painted this before, but I didn't, so now I'm just going to paint it. And I'm going to use this, it's a watercolor again, and I'm just going to dip my brush into its blue. Again, these are kind of colors we use here, blues and yellows. And I thought, well, this basket is going to be having a blue, kind of looking like a ceramic bead kind of effect handle, ceramic bead. I didn't even bother taking it out of the container, the paint, just using it right out of the container. Now, after I paint it, then I can gloss over it and make it look like it's a, not a glass bead, but a ceramic handle. You see that sometimes. You would probably be just as happy leaving yours looking like it's a wood handle. Now, if it's a ceramic one, our Portuguese colors, the blues, kind of a ceramic-y kind of blue. It almost looks like I'm actually making some sort of a design by doing that. That's just because of the way that the polymer is taking the watercolor. I kind of like it. Not solid. I'm going to leave it for now. Now remember I had prepared special color of brown with my blue and my brown. And now I think what I'm going to do is just dry brush it a little bit. I don't want to totally cover all the nice weaving, so it's not going to be a very, very solid one. I think I should start off on the inside. It says to dip it, but I dip it in the paint. But I can tell you that if I dip this in the paint right now, it is going to unglue. I don't trust this dipping method. I would rather just dry brush, which is what I'm doing. And don't know if my dry brushing technique is actually what we need here. So I'm going to just keep painting it. Showing the white, the paper white, is probably not a great idea. I thought it would be, but I changed my mind. And this is your prerogative. Sometimes what they say to do on a project isn't exactly what you want to do, and you experiment. Now, I think I might do another brushing over once this dries, because right now the paper is too wet and it's starting to kind of unshape itself, or take different shapings, and come back to it when it's a little more drier, when it's a little drier. And then I think I'm just going to leave it, glue on the handles, and do a final little coat. Here we have the little basket that's been painted. It's kind of dull. I need to, because this is just watercolors that I'm using, so I will be needing to do a little finish. Maybe use that gel coat that I used on other projects. Here's the little handle. It's got a little shine now, and it looks like some of the blue ceramic that I find here in the islands. And I'm simply going to be cutting it down to size. I think this is about the right size, maybe a little bit too tall. I'm going to cut a little bit more off. I'm going to cut them both equal length, one side, that. I'm eyeballing it, guys, but you know, if you feel like you need to measure, you go ahead and measure. There's no rules about this crafting. And by placing it in here, I think I like it, just that size. So I'm just going to use a little bit of this Uhu glue. Oops, a little bit. Just a tiny little bit, because that's all I trust that will work for me right now. And then I will stick it into the basket. And here's the little finished basket, the kit and the basket. Really enjoyed making it. I finished it with the gloss because that's all I had. At home, I would have just used the satin Mod Podge. The polymer handle that I made to look like ceramic, I really like how it turned out. Give it a go. If you see this kit, I highly recommend it. It's very sweet. For now, that's it. I hope to upload another one in a couple of days. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. And until next time, ciao.